Yeah, we are live. Welcome, everyone. We are live. Okay. So if you are just joining us, welcome, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today. So, see, a couple of us are already here. So, let me first know who is in the house. Please put your name and where you are joining us from in the chat box on your right if you are using a desktop computer, and down you see the chat box in the mobile section. Welcome, everyone. It's a lovely day. It's a beautiful day. Welcome, everyone. So I'm waiting for you, your name and where you are joining us from in the chat box so I can acknowledge your presence. Welcome, everyone, to this class. So PM, welcome, everyone. Yeah, Oriyomi, Dorcas, Nigeria. Where in Nigeria? Is it Zamfara or Sokoto? Is it Kanu? Is it Imo? Is it Oyo? Is it Kwara? Which town? Is it Lokoja? Welcome, Oriyomi. God bless you. Who else is in the house? Precious from Ogun State. Welcome, Precious. Which part of Ogun are you from? Oriyomi from Lagos. Good. So who else is in the house? Taufik. Where is Taufik joining us from? Welcome, everyone. Yeah, so I'm waiting for others. Oh, good. Thank you. From Ilorin. How is Ilorin today? All right. Shudende, you're welcome. You're joining us from Lagos. That's good. Valentino from Plateau. How is Plateau today? Welcome, Ezekiel. Ezekiel is joining us from Lagos. Bayemi from Lagos. Thank you for joining. All right. Thank you for joining. Okay. Shegun, thank you for joining from K2. All right. Tell us where you are joining from so that I can acknowledge your presence while we wait for Michael. Michael, where are you? Okay, here he goes. He has appeared now. Hello, Michael. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, everybody have been waiting for you. Welcome.
Well,
All right, peace. Thank you for joining us from Port Harcourt. How is Port Harcourt today? Esther is joining us from Lagos. Beautiful. How is Lagos? Right? Yeah, although we're operating from Lagos. Yeah, I can still ask you. I don't know whether you're joining us from Ikorodu or from Ekpe or from Badagry. Which part of Lagos are you joining us from, Esther? All right, please leave your name there and also tell us where you are joining us from so that I can acknowledge your presence. All right, peace, say Port Harcourt is fine. All right, so everywhere will be fine by the grace of God. Ifeanyi from Lagos. Welcome, Ifeanyi. Welcome. Hamdalat, right? Hamdalat. I hope I pronounced your name well from Ota. How is Ota today? Hamdalat. Okay, so we should go straight in. This will take approximately 90 minutes. We're going to look at a lot of things. And if this is your first time of doing um, performance management, you're going to go away with a lot of hints, tips, and all the rest. So before I hand over the mic to Michael, just a brief history of why we needed to do this. When I was doing this exam, my name is Tayo Stephen. Let me not assume everybody knows me. Yeah, I'm the CEO for Starry Good Academy. Oh, the sound is low. Michael, can you hear me very well?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. It's good for my sense.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. Esther, please increase the volume of your sound. Check the volume of your sound. Taufika, you are joined from Ikeja. You are welcome. Christina from Ibadan, Oyo, welcome. So, when I was doing this exam, I qualified 1997. Um, very young, at a very young age, quite at a very young age. But some of the things we'll be discussing today were some of the things that my lecturer talked to us then. And then a lot of research we have done. We've spoken with examiners to find out why is a student are complaining the exam is too tough, people are failing. So we talked to some of them. What is really the issue? And so some of the feedback they gave us is what we'll be looking at today. And in the house with me today is I will allow him introduce himself. Let me not do the introduction for him. So, so let me acknowledge Helene. Helene, thank you for joining us from Lagos. Razak from Abuja. All right. So over to you. You can go on.
Thank you, Mr. Tayo. Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Lagos, Nigeria. I believe you are doing well. I welcome you on board to the webinar that has been we've not planning to meet. So, my name is Michael Anate. So I got qualified 3 years ago. I know 4 years ago while I was still in my 20 level in school. So basically, like our uncle said, the reason why we're having this section is that we'll be able to share with you some information that would help you. Not just about reading for your exam. There's some tips that we'll be able to gather. We made some research, and we felt that we need to put our students in a good pedestrian as they prepare for exam. So these are the things we'll be sharing with you. I need you to we're not serving any questions, so I don't need you to come with that mindset. You can leave calculator. I know it's performance management. All I just want from you is to give us your listening ears. So we'll be starting like that. So I greet everyone from Ellen from Lagos, Razak from Abuja, Amadiola, I cite every one of you that has joined us. If you have a friend that needs to be here, do well by sharing the link with the person and let the person join us, but so the person can also benefit from what we'll be doing this afternoon. So let us start the class. Let's start the session. So permit me to share my slide so I can we can write on that. So just give me a few minutes. Let me do that.
All right. So while Michael is sharing his slide, Omolara from Mowe, I acknowledge your presence. Abdullahi Abdulhameen, Abdulhameen. I hope I pronounce it right. That is Ebuka from Ota. Thanks for joining us. Um, Taufik Sulere is good this afternoon. Yeah, thanks for that information. So as you join us, please leave your name and where you are joining us from so that we can acknowledge you. All right. I can see your screen, Michael.
All right. Thank you very
Okay.
much for that. All right.
Okay.
So let's start. ICAN exam subscription webinar. So, like I told you guys that I'm not serving any questions. So all I need to do is to share with you the outcome of the research we've had. I've written exams. I've written a couple of private exams, and these things are what I also used to do my exams. So, so these things are needed. It's not just about reading for your exam. It's about also knowing some etiquettes, knowing some things that are important. Like one of my friends do say that not every brilliant people pass ICAN exam. It is the smartest one, and those ones that listen to details. So let's start with this. So these are what we want to share with you is those details. So details that would be helpful as you use your right hand to prepare for your exam. Your left hand, you use your left hand to hold these details, and using your two hands to work in your exam is going to help you do well for your examination. So let's start. ICAN exam success webinar, performance management, what we'll be looking at. So, for PM is a cool topic in skills level. So let's start with the first session. So, at the end of the webinar, students you are expected to understand and appreciate. We're looking at three areas: the time, effective time management, reviewing, understanding, and analyzing questions, requirements carefully, and also structuring answers to earn more marks. So these are the three areas you'll be looking at. I believe that you'll be able to understand and gain the message that we'll be passing today. So let us start with so let's just look at the question. Of course, you know that ICAN exam is one of the questions. So ability to understand the question is something that is like a gift on your own side. There are many people that is after you've written your exam, is after you've left the exam venue that you now realize that wow, so this is what the examiner is being asking. So and you've already submitted your exam booklet and you can't go back and answer that question. So it's important that you have a good grasp of the question that has been asked by your examiner so that you'll be able to do well, you'll be able to answer the question appropriately, you'll be able to do well and answer the question and also discharge what they and give because every examiner asks have an expectation. So if you're able to understand the question, you will be able to meet the expectation of the examiner. So looking at understanding the question require you to most of the questions will start with analyze, apply, assess, calculate, comment, compare, conclusion. So a question we ask to criticize, define, describe, discuss, evaluate, explain, illustrate, interpret, list, outline, prepare, recommend, state, summarize, when, what, reasons, differences, expatiate, which, where, who, under, briefly, causes. Those are ways questions can start in your exam. So these are some of the things I'm looking at. I'll giving you some practical sites and see how you can undo this part of the question. So let's start. Let's move on to the next slide. So understanding the question. So when answering an exam question, it is important that you consider the question requirement carefully to understand exactly what is being asked. So once you have been served the question paper, of course we all know that you have 15 minutes to go over the questions. That's why be able to have an idea of what the question is or know the question you're going to pick. So it's important that you don't just answer a question based on what you think it is, but you must understand that question from the angle of understanding. So it's better you understand, do the question you understand, than the question you have mixed feeling about. You don't know if they actually want you to do this, if they actually want to, but you're not too sure. But the one you already know, and you know that this is what you're going to get. It's better you do that and you get that part of the question. Do you understand? So the next part. So let's look at the next angle. So now this is analyzed. The exam requirement says that this entails breaking the question into separate parts. Ensure you discuss and interpret each part, and lastly relate the exam question to the scenario provided. So if you are given a question, you are told to analyze. You are told to analyze. So it's important that I'm trying to shape this. Okay. So it's important that you break the question into separate parts, and that you also discuss what is expected for you, and also interpret each part and relate the exam question to the scene that is being provided. So look at this question now. So as I know, so we are required to formulate a linear programming model. Of course, we all know what a linear programming. They didn't tell you to explain, they didn't tell you to list, but all they need is to extract a linear model from these questions that has been provided to you. So of course, you need to know your variables. You need to know those variables involved, and you form your model with these variables. So that is an idea of what that will be asked from you in exam. So your ability to understand, of course, you're not those. It's one that goes to go and define here. Formulate linear program. Okay, you go ahead and say, okay, linear programming is this. Advantage of linear programming. Give your own features. All those things you are doing. That examiner is not expecting you to do that. What the examiner want from you is just to formulate. Just give, if it's for us a 4-line question, a 4-line answer, give it to them, and you earn your mark. So that is where smartness comes. That is where smart students are differentiated from brilliant students. So you don't just do, okay, this is I've read linear programming a lot. and this is my best time to discharge everything I've read. So it is to your own advantage because one, time is of essence, and you need to plan, maximize your time. You need to maximize your time within the questions you need to understand you solve. Of course, you know limiting factor, and time is a limiting factor here, and because you have questions to solve, and your time is not will not be sufficient for you to answer those questions. So the next part that will be looked at as you guys understand the questions apply. So so application is quite important for you to do well in your examination. So many of us would have read some parts that is important for us. So it is important that you apply. So application has to do, it entails putting into action the law requirement in a given scenario. You are going to relate the authority you have used um, with the facts of the case. So for instance, now I said use the above variance. This is an example of an exam type question. Use the above variances to prepare reconciliation of the projected contribution with the actual contribution. So, of course, this question is on variance analysis. Prior to this time, I believe that you would have solved some questions, and all they need you to do is to use the outcome of it to apply what you've solved, use it to prepare a reconciliation that would reconcile the projected contribution with the actual contribution. So if you don't know how to apply that, it's going to affect you. So that's the area. So what the questions the variances you've ascertained, maybe that's one A, and so those variances is what you're going to use to apply them. So that is an example. There's a different thing in that. Some of us might which variances am I to apply? So that is the application phase of your understanding question. So the first phase I spoke about analyzing. Now second, I'm talking about application. So application is key because PM, most of what you'll be doing, some of what you'll be doing has to do with application. I don't know if you understand. So if you understand these questions well, you will know how to apply them, and you apply them judiciously. Do you understand? So the next item, that's it. So exam requirements. So this entails determining the strengths, weaknesses, importance, significance to the given question. So if you have been given a question and I told to assess, what they're asking from you is to give your strengths, give the strengths, give the weaknesses, and also give the importance of that given question. I don't know if you are with me. So let's look at this exam type question. The first question says that assess briefly the uses of linear programming in performance management and indicate whether there are any limitation using this kind of model. So of course, you are taught to assess briefly the uses. So those uses of linear programming, you are taught just to give an overview of them and explain them. Do you understand? So assess them, take them one after the other. Of course, you know linear programming has usefulness, which I believe are not more of 4 or 5. So you can give them and I say also taught to indicate whether there are any limitations in using. So this question is in 301. So once you've given the usefulness of linear programming, it's expected that you also come and give in your limitations that are involved in them. So I believe you are following me. I believe you are learning one or two things. The first one I mentioned was what? Was analyze. Second one is application. The third one is assessment. Assess. So let's move to the next one. Now calculate, which is one of the most. This is an important
before
part.
we go on, I want to acknowledge those that are just joining us.
All right.
Thank you very much for how far you have gone. So, if you are just joining us, I want to acknowledge your presence. Abosede, thank you for joining us from Ajao Estate. Thank you very much. So, I see quite a number of people have joined us. Please put your name in the chat box and where you are joining us from so we can acknowledge your presence. Thank you very, very much. Then, Kani say, can we get the slide in our email? Yeah, we'll send that to you. Those who have registered for this webinars, we'll send that to you at the end of the day. That is as soon as we can. Olusukomi said, please, I need the slide after the training. Okay, the same response to Canis. So if you're just joining us, please put your name by the chat box and also tell us where you're joining us from. And then I'll come back and acknowledge your presence. Then if you have been doing PM before, and you say sometime you go, you come back, and you didn't pass. So obviously you're going to see some of the mistakes, some of the things you'll be missing out, right? You're going to see them today. All right. Olasile. Olasile is from Ijebu Ode. Thanks for joining us, Olasile. Then Ayanwu. Where are you joining us from? Ayanwu Okeze. All the same, welcome. All the same. Faith from Benin City. How is Benin City today? All right. Ayanwu is joining from Port Harcourt. PH. Yeah, welcome. Okay. So back to you, Michael. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. So, I welcome everyone that just tuning in. Knows I believe it has been a nice session so far. So, at this part, we are still under the section that has to do with you understanding the question, and I've been able to share some things as how to answer questions based on the question that has been asked, based on the first word that comes in the question that has been asked. Now, we've looked at assessment, we've looked at application. Now we're looking at calculate. Now in this part, this is the part that most of the questions would require that you do that. But your examiner will not actually will not come up straight. Will not tell you to calculate it, but of course they will tell you, like for instance now, the calculation part requires that you compute using mathematical process of determining the value of an outcome. So for instance now, an example of an exam type question is that the examiner may ask you to prepare a full cost and marginal cost information, which may help with the pricing decision. So they would have given you the question already, and all you need to do prepare. For looking at this question, I might not even require that calculate, but looking at it now, the nature of the question, you must calculate in order to get the full cost based on marginal cost information. In order to help them also make pricing decision. Another exam type question is this one, B, which says calculate the selling price per unit of a product for the current year. So this might have to do with maybe break-even point analysis or um job costing. So it's important that you not once you calculate, you don't need to once you have been asked to calculate. I don't expect you to come and be giving some explanation. You don't have to even give an introduction. Okay, for instance, now you are told to prepare target costing, looking at the information I gave to you. You don't need to come up and say you don't need to come up and be telling me that okay, I know what target costing is. I have read and I've read it a lot in my while I was preparing for the exam. You don't have to come and be telling the examiner that target costing is this. You don't have to define. You don't have to explain. You don't have to state. You don't have to give any features of target costing. All the examiner wants you to do is to use the knowledge you've gotten to answer the question. So go straight to your point. To go straight to calculation. If you're close to calculate the unit cost, start calculation straight up. I start with the name of the company or the person that is you are preparing that for, and we hit the point. Don't just start by just explaining that. Some of us do that. Some of us even know that maybe you're trying to just ensure that our want to make sure that our answer looks bulky, so we can get a good mark. No, every question you're answering, there's a mark that has been allocated to them. So you must know how to maximize your time, which is your limiting factor while writing your examination. So we've looked at calculation. Now let's move to the next item. This one is comment. Question one entails including an explanation, illustration, or criticism in your answer. So, of course, maybe for instance, maybe you're embarking on investment appraisal, and you need to comment on. You are told you are given two questions that has to do with you calculating the NPV and comment on the outcome of what's gotten. The investor, should the company embark on that capital expenditure, or should they just decline the capital expenditure? So the outcome of what you've done, once you've put down calculation, the outcome, maybe for instance, you had a negative NPV. So that outcome, we now comment on it, and that comment, so the outcome has its own mark already. And the comment which is required from the examiner has its own mark already. So it's the expected of you that once you've answered the question, you've done the calculation part, give your comment, okay, based on the outcome of the NPV evaluation is company A or company XYZ should not undertake this project because it's going to result to a negative net because it resulted to a negative NPV. Do you understand that now? So that is an example of what comment is all about. So you must know how to do them. So comments, you don't have to give an essay. You don't have to make it that long. Just give your comment. Simple, short, concise, and detailed. Straight to the point. That's what is being asked from the examiner. I don't know if you are with me. I don't know if you get me. All right. So let's go to the next item. Just compare. This has to do with it entails explaining the similarities and differences between two different terminologies. So, for instance, the examiner might ask you to differentiate between incremental based budgeting and zero based budgeting. So in this kind of scenario now, so you can answer this question in two ways. You can prepare a tabular, you can prepare a table whereby you have incremental based budgeting on the left hand side and zero based budgeting on the right hand side. So as you are starting with one difference, the first difference, the part of the incremental budgeting, once you are filling that part, the other part, of course, so number one, so they will appear at the both the left side and the right side simultaneously. I don't know if you understand me. So in that scenario, another way you can do it is by maybe writing the statement from for instance, incremental based budgeting has this, why zero based budgeting does not have this. So you can read that one in a statement format. It depends on the one that you feel that is going to suit you. But don't forget, you must be concise, you must be detailed. You are not told to explain. Just give the differences. The difference, what you can see in zero-based budgeting or that incremental budgeting does not have. The advantages that incremental based budgeting has that zero-based budgeting does not have. So all those two terms would help you. So when you go to compare, another the synonymous word for compare is to contrast or distinguish or differentiate between two different or three different terminologies. I don't know if you're with me. So I appreciate those that are still joining us. So still share with some of your friends so they can also partake in what you've done so far. So let's move to the next one. So conclusion. So which most times my question, for instance, maybe I given the case, you need to conclude on of course this one just has to do with you because based on the exam you're writing. So you might just it entails ending your answer well in the case scenario. So if I give a case scenario, I need to conclude. Maybe I told to advise somebody, or maybe they're about to undertake a pricing decision and they give you doing a computation and they told you to write a report to the management or to the owner. So at the once you write your report, your conclusion might have to okay. At the end of the based on my assessment, I whereby say that they should do this or they should not do this. So you must know how to give a concise conclusion if you are writing your work. So you don't have to be that book or you don't have to be that lengthy. I believe you are with me. So I believe we are learning one two things so far. So those are all these simple things, all these things that might feel that they're not really that relevant, but they are key because the more you know the more you know understand what is being asked by the examiner, the more it helps you maximize your time. There are some questions that you might feel that because I know this thing very well. Let me talk to more. You're told to state and just give a short explanation. So you feel like I know this thing very very well. This is what I do at work. This is what I've been doing for the past 5 years. So let me just use one page to explain. And maybe that thing is just like 1.5 mark. So by just using one page to explain, one page of your booklet to explain that term, you are wasting your time. It's not going to increase the number of marks. The ceiling for that question is maybe 1.5 mark, and you cannot get more than no matter if you even though you use extra booklets, you can't get more than that mark. Do you understand? So smartness is needed to do well in your examination. I don't know if you are with me. So let's move to the next one, which is criticize. Criticize. So a nature of a question. So this entails analyzing the situation to identify all the weaknesses, problems that exist. Note, you are not expected to explain the situation. So when you are told to criticize something, you are told to just come out, give out what points you have that you feel you can argue these points. You are come to give your own situation. Look at those weaknesses that are embedded in it and the problems, and profile, and you highlight them and let them see that one. Now define. Now this is one of the points I would love to talk more about because many students will know the difference between definition and explanation. Do you understand? So define is just it entails giving a meaning to a question. So my key word is that it must be short and relevant and concise. Do you understand? So you should have an idea about to define, for instance, my action that define transfer pricing tipping, define the budget and state the types of budget. So define means that you just give a brief definition of what transfer pricing is. It can just be a paragraph and you're good to go. You don't have to if the maximum you can do is that you can give two paragraphs. But my own the fine looking at the standard define should be just one paragraph. And the transfer pricing is about this, and you end it full stop. You are good. Your mark is there. 3 marks, 4, 5 marks. You've earned your mark like that. If you are told to now explain, then you cannot define. Then we now come give explanation, make it more practical. Bring it to different some two different scenarios and explain because you know that it carries more mark. Do you understand? So don't misinterpret definition for explanation in your examination because it helps you to maximize your time. It helps you to know what you are to answer. Now, the second part is that okay, now this is the final state. So this is that they are all related. So let's move. I believe we are getting it so far.
Yeah,
Like
before we go on,
fine.
we are getting it. Thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity to first welcome those that are just joining us. I see quite a number of people have also joined. Let me first start. Titi Layo, thank you for joining us from Lagos. Oyebami from Bauchi, Oyebami Peter, I think, from Bauchi. How is Bauchi today? Rashid is from Abeokuta. Thank you for joining us from Abeokuta. So, if you are just joining us, please put your name and where you are joining us from in the chat box so I can acknowledge your presence. All right, Peace Godwin, you are joining us from Port Harcourt. How is Port Harcourt today? And thank you for joining us. So, if I have not acknowledged your name and your presence, please indicate it in the chat box and I will do that. Then I want to get some reaction from us. So far, so good. How is it from your end? Are you hearing us clearly? What's the feedback from you? Is it useful? Share some emotions. Let's get some reaction from you. Are you getting any insights? Like Michael said, we are not really solving any particular question. But you see, in the exam is all about question. When you enter the exam hall and you see 1 page or 2 page or story case study, right? At the end of the day, you will see required. It's all about question. So when they say require, what are they asking you to do? They are giving exam verbs. Verbs. As we know from our English language, verbs are action words. So you are required to take an action, right? Okay, all right. So let me still acknowledge the presence of Joseph from Zaria. So Joseph, hi Zaria. Um, then Oluwaseun from Lagos. Hi, is Lagos. Oluwaseun. Oluwadamilola from Lagos. Welcome. Azika, Azuka. Sorry, I pronounced it wrongly. Azuka. All right. Thanks for joining us from Owerri. Hi, it's Owerri this afternoon. All right. So if I've not yet acknowledged you, please put your name in the chat box and tell us where you are joining us from. Definitely, I will acknowledge you. Then, like I said earlier, give us reaction. Tell us if you are enjoying the session. Tell us if you are having a aha moment or a wow moment, or there are things you are noticing for the first time, or you never knew these were there. Let us know that we are. It's just not me and Michael that are talking to each other or listening to each other. So let's hear some reaction from you. So I'll come back and read those reactions. All right, Michael, back to you.
All right,
Well
thank
done.
you, Mr. Tayo. All right.
Well done.
So at this part, don't forget that we're still on the understanding the question part. So this part entails that we're now moving to describe. So far we've looked at application, how to apply questions, how to analyze, how to give a comment, how to calculate. We've looked at all those things and how to contrast, how to compare. So all those things are ability to understand, know, you should be able to know when to define, when to explain. Now, this is the describe now. This entails giving a detailed account of qualities or features. So, for instance, an exam type question may require that you determine with a statement which one of these TV strategies um, should should be adopted by the company in order to maximize its weekly profit. So in this scenario now, all you need to first do is first one determine. Once you determine one, you know that suits these strategies, they're gonna give your statement to support that strategies you've already determined the strategies that you are picking out of the theory that has been suggested to you. That's just an exam type question. So you should know when to describe, you should know when to state, you should also know when to explain as well. So let's move to the next one. So now this is discourse. Discourse. So discourse require, of course, in this kind of situation now, it's not asking you to come out, okay, Michael, what's okay? For instance, Michael, what is your own opinion? What do you think is about this? So it's person is expecting me that I say these things, I discuss, I share my experiences, I talk about these things, like you look at the good side, look at the bad side of this particular situation. So this entails examining the detail using arguments about the pro and cons, the advantages and disadvantages of an issue. So, for instance, this question says discuss the likely cost and benefit that would arise if Internet Communication Limited introduce a total quality management policy. Of course, so they're asking you that, okay, of course, you should have an understanding of what the question is being asked for before you can discuss. If you don't have an understanding of what of the subject matter, it's going to shrink your ability to discuss. So once you understand, for instance, of course, you know total quality management here in TQM. So once you understand that, looking at intention, of course, they would have given you a case study about what intern corporation limited is all about. And so once you know that, so you're expected to bring them. You can use what CQ main policy is all about. And once you've done that, then you can now come ahead and give your own explanations. Look at it, define that, come and give the cost analysis, give the cost analysis, then look at the benefit as well. Do you understand? So the cost and the benefit, and that would be help you. So of course, in this world, you're not supposed to stop. You're not expected to define. No, nor are you expected to explain. But what is expected of you is to discuss. I don't know if you understand me now. So let's move to the next one. Now, evaluation. Now, this entails determining the scenario in the light of the argument for the for and against. Ensure you mention evidence to support your argument. So, in this instance, you might be told to evaluate a particular situation, and your ability to evaluate it, I mean, go a long way in the question that has been asked. So, for instance, now, evaluate critically the performance of the company in 2016, supporting your answer with reference to the variances you have calculated and the ones given in notes here above. So in this performance, you are told to evaluate critically. So look at those items, look at those points that you feel that will support your answer, pick them out and talk about them. Do you understand? So support your answer with reference to the variances you have calculated. So once you're looking at performance of the company, look at those items and look at you need to talk about. So that is what this evaluation part is all about. So you must know how to differentiate between evaluation and discussion and explanation. So those terms are really, really good. And if you understand them, you must also, it's not just about understanding them from the normal layman angle, but from the angle of linking it to the question that it is being asked by your examiner, so that it will put you in a good trajectory for you as you attempt to answer the question. So the next item is list. List. Now, list is different from list and explain. Now, this entails outlining several ideas, aspects, events, things, and qualities. In this scenario, please do not do not explain. Do not try to explain. Just leave it to you now. List the costing techniques. List them. One, two, three pages. You have full. Just list them, and that is what you are expected of you. That is what the examiner expects of you. If you list and explain, you are wasting your time explaining. So you are wasting your time. You are wasting the strength, the that capacity you need to use to solve other questions. You are directing it to that particular question.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for that you have emphasized. So if the examiner say list and you now list and you start explaining, you're only wasting time explaining. You will not earn any extra mark for that explanation. So let's ensure we stick just to the requirement of the question. Remember what he said earlier, it's not the volume of what you are writing that will score you mark. If you are writing a volume that is not relevant to the question, you will not score any mark in that. All right, thank you. So I think you have, is it 10 minutes more? Just, I'm here as, as a timekeeper, just to remind you.
All
All
right.
right, go ahead, please.
All right. So this part now is explanation. There's a part I spoke about you discussing, you evaluating. Now this is about explanation. Explanation is different. Is quite different because it entails you making the answer clear, supporting it with enough details that are relevant, concise, and explanatory. So, for instance, now I come to meet you that Mr. Tayo, please explain to me. I don't understand what a profit is. Okay, you can say okay, profit is different between the amount, your sales value, and your cost. So okay, that's just a layman understanding. So when you now go details, you now give me a particular scenario that okay, imagine that you bought these things, and so I'm trying to explain that concept so that the person can understand. I'm trying to pass a message so the person can understand that concept. So you can come up with what maybe for what you've read, Like they can, you can then pack it up maybe with your own particular, with your own understanding of that concept, now to ensure that the person, that the receiving party, understand what you're talking about. So example type question: explain the concept of the balance scorecard and how it may be used by in-terms communications limited to improve performance and measurement. Now, outline. So exam requirement. Now this entails explaining the highlighted points stated. For example, now outline the composition of the cost um, variance. So there's a synonymous between outline and list. So of course, just to itemize and of course and also the word itemize. So now recommend. This entails giving advice. So for instance, maybe you've embarked on a, you are told to embark on financial ratios, and embark on, you are told to also give, so from your ratios is completed, we recommend to the to your MD what they should do. So, example question says, advise the MD at which level of production the department should cooperate in the year to 30th June 2017, and what decision criterion it should use if immediate closure is to be considered. So, we are coming from the angle, most times they see from the angle of someone that is trying to provide solutions to some, maybe like a consultant. So once you've done your own work, your own homework, then give your own recommendation, which always is a form of advice. So based on my calculation, based on this, I suggest that, I recommend that, I advise that this should be done, this should be done, this should be done now to achieve this result for the organization. Now I believe you are with me. So let's move to the state. So this state now, this is one of the part that confuses students. So this entails explaining by focusing on the example point. So this explain by focusing on the example. So it requires that you, the first thing you need to do is to at least maybe list, and then you come up with your explanation, just a short and concise concise one. Now summarize exam requirement. Now this entails giving a brief condensed conclusion. Avoid unnecessary details. That this is usually common in case study questions. So if I give you a case, and I thought to summarize your answers in just 3 points, just speak it and support it with a short, concise explanations. So you're not expected to dwell too much on it. Your answer must be brief and concise. Do you understand? So summarize. So when you summarize, you just give an overview, give a conclusion, give a sum. You put everything you've read together and your answer and your question. So now let's see the next slide two for the exam type question. This is an exam type question. Okay, so now the hierarchy principle is an acronym that depicts I for identification. Once you look at the hierarchy principle, it depicts I is for identification, R is for rule, A is for analysis, and C is for conclusion. So C for conclusion. So let's start and look at them one after the other before my time, because I'm trying to I'm working on my time and I've been informed I have limited time left. So looking at this question now, you are required for this question is on traditional costing and activity based costing. So looking at this question, you've looked at the question has been given to you by your examiner. So we are told to use the traditional approach to determine the direct labor over outlay rate for the company, and to use the direct labor hour rate to compute the overhead rate attributable to a unit of standard and deluxe and product. Thirdly, determine the cost driver rate using ABC approach. And finally, compute the overhead rate per unit of each product using the ABC approach. So as you can see now, the first two questions has to do with the traditional approach. The last two questions will do with the ABC approach. So, so let's look at looking at let's make use of the hierarchy principle to answer this question. But before this, let's really explain how it works. So, from the angle of identification, first of all, you need to identify both the traditional approach and the ABC approach. You need to know. So you can't, if you don't know traditional approach, if you don't know ABC approach, you won't be able to answer that question. So when you know that, okay, this is what I'm using these two approach to answer this question. The first two, which is the traditional approach, and the last two, which is the ABC approach. And then now move to the rules. Now, from the approach, we are expected to apply the rules to answer the question for both traditional and ABC approach. The traditional approach has its own rules. Once you understand that, okay, I'm using traditional approach, what are the rules? What are the formats? What are the pattern? What are the things I need to go through to attain what the end result of traditional approach, and for ABC approach as well. So it's expected of me that I know these rules, I know this pattern, I know these steps I need to follow to achieve that result. Then the third one, analysis. So for analysis, you are expected to analyze and compute the overhead rates and expected cost drivers for the two different approaches. I know, are you with me? So that is part. Now, this one part is all about you doing calculation, ensuring that everything are in the right path. And see conclusion. So here you are expected to conclude the answer. You conclude the question with your answer. Do you understand? So this part requires that you come with your answer, because it maybe does not require that you because this the last question say compose. You're not told to explain. So just give you are told to complete, just end your ensure that your result is that result. You don't have to give any other theoretical explanation or give any other comment, nor you give any other recommendation to put yourself in that positive. So if you can just go and do an overview of what hierarchy is all about. What does I stand for? I stand for what? Identification. I stand for what? Rules. A stands for what? Analysis. And C stands for what? Conclusion. Do you understand me now? All right. So by this part, Mr. Tayo should be taking.
Hello, Michael. What did I do? Can you hear me, Michael? Please unmute if you. Did I mute you? I did in error. Wow. Michael, you need to come back with your video, and you need to share your video again if you are hearing me. So share your video and also mute. I mean, or mute. So you see that, I think, on the top screen session. All right. Thanks so much, Michael. Oh no, I guess you're having challenges over there. So why I want to thank you for that. Let's give him a hand of applause for the good job he has done. How do you do that in the chat session? You want to give some reaction emoji? Are you really there with us? Please give Michael a hand of applause. Give him an emoji, form of appreciation, and so on. So just for us to be sure we are still together. So yeah, Michael, you still need to. Oh, you have okay. You have to unmute yourself. All right. Thanks so much. You have to unmute yourself. Yes, effective time management. All right, Azuka. Thank you so much, Azuka. Thank you, Shitu. Shitu say nice one. Azuka gives emotion of thumb up. Azuka said insightful. Abdulhamid said thanks so far. Hamdalat is giving you two busa. That's from Michael. Well done, Michael. That's from Ezekiel. Um, Canis is giving you thumb up. Thank you for that. Esther, yeah, it's giving you a clap. She's clapping for you. Tafika is giving you thumb up, high five. All right. Yeah, Mavlin is clapping. Mohammed say good one, sir. Ezekiel said thank you, Mr. Steve, for this great initiative. So, yeah, great. Thank you too. Uh, Oluwadam Lola said thank you for the insights. All right. Faith is giving you thumb up. Rashid said, God bless you. Well done, sir. Omolola is giving you a hand clap. Okay, let's go to time management and technique in the exam. So, Michael, you are sharing your screen. You need to select the right slide so that we can then run. We have roughly 15 minutes to 30 minutes to go. Yes, I can see the screen now. Effective time management. Now, brilliant students do fail the exams. Why? I remember when I was doing this exam many years ago, like I said earlier, that I qualified in 1997. And I started from ATS 1, ATS 2. Did we do ATS 3 then? I can't remember. You know, it's more than 2 decades now. But I also remember I got exemption from foundation to move to P1, P2, and P3. We used to call, call it P1, P2, P3. So that time when I was doing this exam, To be very honest with you, I was scared. So I was scared because where I was working that time, when we go, when before I started ICAN in the first place, the account department, I think about 10 people will go and do ICAN and 10 people will return. When the result come out, everybody will fail. So I was scared. So when my mentor told me go and do ICAN, I didn't want to do ICAN because I felt it was so tough. But as I started learning the exam technique, mind you, I'm an average student. I'm not very, very intelligent. So, so if you are in my class, then good. You don't need super intelligent to pass ICAN. You just need to be an average student like I was. But the techniques that I'm going to share with you, some of my lecturers shared it with us then, and we have spoken with examiners who have also added to it, and we've spoken to markers who have told us things that the where students easily missed mark and all of that. So that's what we're going to look at now. All right. So yeah, next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. So of course, I'm going to show you a live. When I mean live, I mean not live. I'm going to show you the exam question, the typical exam question that you meet in the exam. For those of you who are doing this paper for the first time, please ensure you get to the exam early. Many students, some students fail because they get there late. So if you are going into the exam or 15 minutes after it has started, you know the sweat that will come over you. You'll be panting like this. Don't let it happen to you. It has happened to me. It's not a good experience. So once you enter the exam hall, you're going to be given your papers, and then the exam is usually a 3 hours question, 3 hours exam, and they'll give you an extra 15 minutes or a quarter of an hour for reading. So we're going to break that down as I show us that there are two sessions to this exam, right? For those who have never written it, if this is your first time, there are two sessions. There's a session A and there's a session B. The session A, usually, the session A is compulsory, all right? The session A is compulsory. While the session B, you are expected to answer 3 out of 5 questions, right? You're expected to answer 3. Next question, next slide, please. All right. So, well, I'm not certain there is a session C. No, there used to be, but I think with the current last diet exam or before then, the session C, I think, is not there. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So, the first thing you need to do is to plan your time. So if you are going into the exam, right, remember it's just 3 hours. So 3 hours means 180 minutes. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So if you multiply 60 minutes by 3, you have 180 minutes. So you don't have more than 3 hours to go, right? So plan your time is very crucial. Make sure that you cover the whole question, the 4 questions you are expected to do, right? So plan your time. So apart from that, you need to scan the question. So when you are giving your question, right, you don't want to start reading from the beginning. You want to go and read the requirement first. And as I will explain later, you don't have to read question 1 at all during that 15 minutes. Don't read question 1 at all. Okay. Somebody says she can't hear me. Agbola, please, I can't hear anything again. Is that the reaction from everybody? If you can hear me, please put that in the chat box and say, yes, I can hear you. Let me be sure it's not from my end here. And Michael, can you give me a response? Can you hear me? Yeah, Michael, can you hear me? So if you can hear me, please put it in the chat box that you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. All right. You can go back to sharing the screen. All right. Ezekiel said I can hear you. So, Agbola, please refresh your browser and then it could be your internet. Okay. Oh, thank you. Esther says she can hear. Azuka, thank you very much. Oluwadamolala says she can hear me. Okay, let me go on. Scan through the question, right? Go into the question requirement of the session B. Don't waste time on session A. It's compulsory. So whether you read it or you don't read it within the 15 minutes, you are expected to attempt it. So go. The purpose of scanning through this one is for for you to make sure that you go through the other 5 questions in session B and choose the 3 that you'll be answering. Then avoid time wasters, right? Time wasters is when you start reading through the question, like I said earlier on. So you are wasting time. Then also when you are spending so much time beyond what you needed. So don't waste too much time on a question. Make sure that you allocate the time to each question. And I'll share a practical of that as we go along. So when you exceed that allocated time that you have allocated, just move on to the next question. Sometimes a student, a question of 20 mark, right? In a 20 mark, you shouldn't spend more than 36 minutes. How did I arrive at that? You see, 180 minutes divided by 100% gives us 1.8 minutes per mark. So if you multiply, that means for every 10 mark question, you shouldn't spend more than 18 minutes. Now, whether it's a 10 mark question or 20 mark question, use your pencil to allocate the time during that your 15 minutes. Remember, they usually say don't write, and please don't violate that. Don't write, but just use your pencil to allocate the time based on the one you will use. So once you scan through the five question, and you have picked the 3 you want to go through, right? Then use your pencil to allocate the time to each of them, right? Then leave enough space. We'll give practical example to that when they say leave enough space. Next slide, please. Okay, next one. Yeah. So how do you maximize mark in your exams? So the first one, let's undo the comment section. So candidate are advised to read of course, read get our video lectures. That's what we will first recommend. And why will we recommend that? You see, we used to run physical classes before. We used to have tutorial center, and we have several classes that we used to run, both for ICAN, we used to run for ACCA, CIS, ATS, and so on. But we closed all of that about 12 years ago in 2010 or thereabout. And this was what brought about that. You remember that was a financial crisis. We had financial crisis that time in Nigeria. So banks were retrenching, were sacking people, stockbroking firm. In other words, where our students were working, they were retrenching people, right? So, so they were retrenching people then. So the few people who have jobs, if you have ever worked in a place that were retrenching, you find out that when they retrench people, if 10 people are working there, and then you shrink it to maybe 5 people. Remember that one person will be doing the job of 2 people, right? It means you will, and yet the job doesn't diminish, you do more. So what we discovered at that time is that people couldn't come for classes, and those who could come were overstressed. So they were either sleeping in the class because they were tired, right? So remember that we're running physical classes and the digital class then. For those who got the digital class, that is a video lecture and all the support that we provide, we find out that they don't miss classes. Whereas this other side, when they miss class, nobody's going to repeat it for them, right? Nobody's going to repeat it for them. So that is the way it is given. So that's why, so if you use video lecture, you are not going to miss class, right? And of course, if you join our support group where our lecturer are providing support on Telegram, whatever is dealt we do there on a weekly basis, you can always see the history. Once you scroll up, you can always see the history if you were not in class. So make sure that, that's another point. Make sure that major pitfall, candidate major pitfall was their shadow understanding of the subject matter. Make sure you see, when you look at the PM ICAN part, it's very voluminous. So what we have done is to condense all that into the video. This is what research says, that when you are studying on your own, right, if you use video, right, to study, you will cut your time by 50%, which means if it takes you 4 hours to study on your own, if you use video that cover that topic, you will cover that topic in 2 hours. Now, it goes better than that. Assuming you attend physical classes, if physical classes will take you 8 hours to cover a course, a particular paper, or a particular topic, then video will take just 2 hours. These are scientific research. We're not trying to batch ICAN pack. We're not trying to say don't go for physical class. But we're saying use the best method here. So for you to be able to cover the entire syllabus within a short time, video is your best choice. So if you don't have the video lecture, then we'll provide the information for you to get it at the end of this webinar, right? So candidates are advised to answer case study question in a more structured approach. Yeah, just like Michael have established earlier on. So Starry Go Study Solution contain relevant case study and solution. Yeah, remember that our video lecture also have past question from 2014 till date. 2014 till date. So if you get it, you'll see how we solve case study in them. Please don't quote me anywhere, but if you have been using Pathfinder, you find out that there are some solutions that you don't understand how they arrive at it. You just find out that the answer is there, but the steps were missing, or even you've used all the principles, you've used all the calculation, you just find out that the answer was simply wrong. And I'll show us some disclaimer that I can put there. I can put disclosure and disclaimer there that the solution, although they are publishing it, they will not entertain any discussion regarding it. They are the contribution of the authors. I can't take no responsibility for any error or whatever you find in the Pathfinder. So, but what we have done is we've gone through it, analyze it, and dissect it. All right. So, just one moment. So, Michael, you can please stop sharing your screen so that I can share mine and show our students what I wanted to show. All right. Please stop sharing your screen. Thank you very much. So let me share my own screen. And yep, I'm sharing my screen now. Okay. So Michael, please let me know if you are seeing my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you very much. So this is ICAN disclaimer. I say note, although this suggested solution have been published under the institute name, they do not represent the view of the council of the institute. The suggested solutions are entirely the responsibility of the authors, and the institute will not enter into any correspondence with them. So that's what ICAN tells you there. They are not going to entertain any correspondence regarding that. Now let's go to performance management. This is a typical exam question and question paper. This is for skill level May 2021 performance management. So we can see that the time allocated here is 3 1/4 hours. That means 3 hours 15 minutes. Within the first 15 minutes, you are not expected to write, and you are given that 15 minutes as the time to read through your question, right? So now we have here 40-mark question, section 1. The first thing you must do is to read the requirements, read the instruction, read what you are instructed to do. The instruction says you are required to answer 4 out of 6 questions in these papers. Now, what does that mean? If you go and answer 5 questions out of 6, or you go and answer 6 out of 6, right? What the examiner will do is that they'll pick the best one that you have answered in excess of what is required, and they will strike it out. Now, you see, you are requested to answer 4, but if you choose to answer 5, they'll pick the best one, excluding question 1 though, because that one is compulsory. They'll pick the best one out of the others, and they will strike it out. So if you have finished the exam on time and you still have extra time, then go through your question again, go through your solution, look at it properly, do any spelling correction that you find there, and so on and so on. Then the second one is that, and I need to throw this in, is that your handwriting must be legible. Legibility is very important. You see, if you are in Nigeria, if you've gone to meet, if you've gone to consult the doctor before, I don't know whether they train them in medical school, but the way they write the prescription, jaga jaga, in such a way that is not legible. It's only another doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse that will understand it. It used to intrigue me that why do they do this? Whereas abroad, right, they type it out and they print it out for you. You will see your prescription. So it has to be legible. That's the point I'm making. So if you write in a way that is not legible, the examiner is not going to crack his or her head trying to understand what you are writing. They're not going to ask another person. No. Then the another point I want to bring up before we go forward is that no one examiner can make you pass or fail the exam. No single person have that decision to make. Why? Like in this question now, there are 6 questions. So one marker will only mark only one question. If that has not changed, as at the best time I knew this, only the person that is marking question 1 will only mark question 1 throughout. He's not going to mark question 1 and question 4. No, he's going to mark question 1 throughout. Another person will mark question 2 throughout. Another person will mark question 3 throughout. Another one will mark question 4 throughout. As at the last time I have the information. If it has changed, I don't know. But that's the way they do it to avoid abuse, to avoid either favoritism or otherwise. You understand? So no one marker can influence your outcome. I used to remember then that some people, there was one marker I knew many years ago when I was writing the exam, and then some student will go and write their answer, their I think exam number, and give to him. All right, when the result comes out, it was just my observation. They all still fail. Then the thing is that why? What happened? This is the answer, because I finally found out that no one marker can really determine your success or failure, because you can only that one paper is one question is marking cannot determine the outcome. All right, so it will take more than 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and of course the marker then was probably didn't want to lie to them that he can't influence the outcome, so he rather give them the good feeling that he will do something about it when he really cannot. Then another thing we must know is that it's not only one marker. When we say one marker marks one question, it doesn't mean that only one person will mark 2,000 scripts. So they may have 10 or 20 people that are marking only question 1, another 10 or 20 people that are marking question 2, another 10 or 20 people that are marking question 3. So these are control measures that they put in place. If it hasn't changed, then that's what you should also expect. So question 1 is 40 mark. We'll be wrapping up now. And so when you are given that 15-mark question, what you should do is don't start reading the body of this question. You can't even finish it sometime in 15 minutes. Like I said, skip question 1 because it's compulsory. Just go to question 2. This place says open-ended question. That's section 2. You say you are required to answer any 3 out of the 5 here. Any 3 out of the 5. So in this section 2, if you answer 4, the examiner will strike out the best one. If you answer the 5, you will strike out the best 2. So since they say you should choose, but you decide to do everything and ask the examiner to choose for you, then they will choose the best and strike it out. It doesn't worth it. So in this question 2 now, you go straight to the requirement. This requirement here for question 2 is A and B. So here it says recommended. Recommend with supporting calculation whether forecast 1 or forecast 2 should be adopted for the budget period. So with this now, you have an idea that this is talking about budgeting. So if you are very conversant with that and you know you can answer this, then you can tick it and say, okay, I can go with this. And then you go to question 3. Don't read all the body of the question like I said. Just go to the requirement. You see the requirements here, it says required A. And then here, it says forecast the sales of the 4 quarters required using the period observation result. So it's a 8-mark question here. So if you are to answer this one now, how much time should you give to it? Let's calculate it. 1.8 minutes per mark multiplied by 8. We shouldn't spend more than 14 minutes here, 14.4 minutes in answering this 8-mark question. Once you have spent up to 14 minutes, please stop and go and answer the next one. The more time you spend there, you are wasting time, right? Stop and just go to the next one. If you save time at the end of the day, you can come back again and continue where you stop for the one you have not finished. This is the reason why students fail the exam. Because if you keep spending more time to get 8/8, whereas you have not touched this 8, you have not touched this 4, and you have not even touched others, you find out that at the end of the time, when you are hearing 10 minutes more, you start sweating profusely, panicking. And once panic enter, everything you read will just vamoose, will just disappear in your mind. So these are the things we need to avoid. So you go to question 4, you read that also, the requirement. Look at question 4. Look at the body of the question. Look at how long it is. So you don't want to waste time reading all of this, right? You don't want to waste your time reading them during the 15 minutes time. You just scroll down to the requirement. The requirement has A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. And you go ahead and answer them. So I go the same thing goes to question 5, you go straight to the requirement, and question 6. So once you have determined the one you want to answer, what should you do next? That takes me to the next one. I go ahead and share my screen again. This is the answer sheet that I just put down here to help us. Okay, let me just remove some of the things I put here. Okay, I'll need a reaction. If you are following, I just want to be sure I'm not just talking to myself. Go ahead there and say, yes, I'm following. Please put it in the chat box and let me be sure you are here with me. So I'm waiting for you guys. I'm following or I'm enjoying your section. Give me a reaction, please. Let me be sure you are following, so that let me just be sure I'm not talking to myself. All right. I'm still waiting. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Oriyomi, yes. I'm following. Thank you very much. Diola say, yeah. Okay, good. I'm getting that. So let me just go on because of time. So now that you're seeing my screen, you see, you don't, that the next thing I want to talk about is that you don't have to start in chronological order. For instance, you don't have to start question 1 and move to question 2 and move to question 3 or question 4. No. Like you can see on the screen, I'm starting with question 3 here. So let's go back and see what question 3 has to give us. Question 3 here has how many here? So if I'm to do this exam and I like question 3 and I'm starting with question 3, for instance, this is just an example, for instance. So this is question 3. It has A, B, C. All right. So I go back to my answer sheet. Your answer sheet will be ruled. It's not a plain sheet like this. So I put here question 3A, right? See, I wrote it here. So please, you don't have to even start with question 3A. You can start with question 3B. But when you are starting with question 3B, don't, and you are, remember we say you should leave enough space. Don't come down here and start 3B here. No, start 3B on a new page. Never do this. Go to 3B on a new page. Why? Because you don't know how long this question 3A will take. You don't know whether it will fill the entire page and whether it will even take the next page. So if you want to leave space, mark this as question 3A, then your next page should be question 3A continue. 3A continue. Let me remove this one here. 3A continue. So remember, that's if you are not doing 3A and you want to go to 3B. Like if we look at this question very well, we find out that 3B is 3A is a lot of competition. See, you say prepare the forecast here. So, and sorry, let me go back to 3A. You say you are required here. You say forecast, which is computation. 3B say prepare similar forecast based on the last 5 period observation. In other words, repeat what you did in A based on the last 5 period observation. And then C says explain which forecasting basis produced the better one. Assuming you want to answer C and it's not related, remember we are not answering this question. Please take note of that. We are not answering it. So you go back to the next sheet. See, I put here 3B. And I come back here and say 3B continue. Because I'm leaving enough space in case when I'm doing 3B and I don't want to run out of space. And then I can come to 3C. I can start 3C here, like you have seen here. So that's what I'm explaining here. You can now start your 3C here without starting 3A or 3B, but you have left enough space. And if it has children like 3C, A or I or 1, you start that. If you're able to finish that, then you go on and do your 3C2 here. And if you are not able to finish, you go to the next page and say 3C, continue. Remember, you have paid ICAN for your exam, so don't be afraid to ask for more sheets, right? Don't be afraid to ask for more. I'll be explaining that. So once you finish, if there is D part, there's no D part in this, you go ahead and answer that. And you say 3D, continue. Then you move on. So if the next one you want to answer is 5, you go to 5A. Please start with the easiest question. Don't start with the toughest one. Start with the easiest one. So having explained that, so you go to 5A, if it is 5A you want to answer, you go to 5A, continue, in case your 5A continue on the next page. But if it doesn't continue, there are some things you want to add later on, you can leave this extra space, right? But make sure you mark every page that you have here. Don't leave the space blank. So you go to the next one, 5B, and then 5B, continue, 5C, 5C, continue, 5G, 5D, continue, if there's 5G, and then you go on. So having explained that, this takes me now to the next part, which is time management. Remember I explained earlier on that there are 3 hours here. There are 3 hours. You multiply 3 hours by 60 minutes, right? By 60 minutes. By 60 minutes. That will give us 180 minutes. And if we divide 180 minutes by 100, it will give us 1.8 minutes. So always multiply 1.8 minutes by the number of marks. By the number of marks. So let's go back here now and look at this. So this one, we have already looked at this question, but let's go and look at another question. I'm just going up, 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 just to see another question. Now this question has the A part is 11 mark, and this other one has 3 mark, 3 mark, 3 mark, the B part. Now these 3 marks are what they call easy marks. Easy marks. Easy marks. Here it says prepare a report addressing to the managing director to explain the budget preparation process with particular reference to A1, the principal budget factor, the 2, the budget manual, 3, the role of the budget committee. You see, this particular question has nothing to do with A. It's an independent one. So this 6 marks here, that's if you are very familiar with this question, or you already know what you're expected to do here about budgeting and forecasting, then these are what you call easy marks. These 6 marks is easier for you to get. And like I said, you just go straight and put there, let me go up. I think this should be question 2. Yeah, you just go there and you put 2A, and then 2A continue in the next page, and you go straight to 2B and quickly answer this. With that, you will get your 6 marks. You can come back and start your 2A, right? And I will explain to you what if the space you left was not enough when you are doing your 2A. Let's go back to my sheet here. Let me go back here and do something for us. I will just delete this place just for us to use for this 2A and 2B, so that in your exam, you will see what we are referring to. Okay, let me come back here and say here 2A. So you say 2A, you go to the next page and say 2A, continue. Please always put this dot, dot, dot here, 2A, continue. And I will explain that with a live sheet now. So I'll stop sharing my screen so that you can see what I'm referring to before we wrap up. So let me stop sharing. Okay, good. I think you can see me now. Let me be sure I'm right on screen. Good. So let me say you're answering question 4. This is how your exam sheet will look like. There usually be a mark here and a mark by the end here. You're supposed to write in the middle based on the last time I know, right? So this is 4A, right? And there's also, I think, a perforation either at the edge here or in the middle. There's a perforated space here. So those spaces will be given. So this is 4A, right? Assuming I'm not writing 4A, I'm going to do 4A now, right? But that's not what I want to do. I want to go and do 4B because of the easy mark. So I wrote 4A there, and then I put here 4B continue, right? I mean 4A continue, not 4B. I beg your pardon. Then I go to the next page and now put 4B, right? 4B. I can now start writing here 4B and I continue here 4B continue. So assuming that I now come back to 4A, right? 4A. And I write and I continue 4A here. And I still need to write more after 4A. But the third page, I've already started 4B. I've already written 4B there. What some students do is that they will cancel the 4B they have written and now write 4A and go and be rewriting the 4B later on. No, don't do that. Just ask for an extra sheet. When you ask for an extra sheet, label it as 4A, continue again. And then when you are done, you attach it to this very one before you tie it down or tie all your paper together. So that's proper referencing. Inability to do this have cost a lot of students in the exams. Inability to do this. So let me go back again to my slide, which I'm sharing, so that your inability to do this have cost students fortune in the exam. So, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So back to my question. So the same thing goes for this other one. The next question here, you find out that this is 8 mark and 4 mark. Remember to do your calculation quickly. A 4 mark question means 1.8 times 4. You shouldn't spend more than 7.2 minutes. Usually I will not spend more than 7 minutes. That extra 0.2, I will be accumulating them, right? So this place says here, the C part here say, explain which forecasting basis produce a better forecast. Don't spend more than, in your explanation, don't spend here as, you can see it's broken down into A, B, C, and D. A, B, C, and D. The D part say discuss the extent to which zero-based budgeting could be used by ADRA Community School to improve the budgeting process. Here it's telling you to discuss the extent. What is the limitation? What is the boundary they must not go beyond? But of course, you must understand the limitation of zero-based budgeting to answer this. You must understand what it cannot cover and all of that. It's a 4-mark question. These are easy marks. This other one say discuss, that is a C, discuss the 3 main steps involved in preparing a zero-based budget. Now, this C has nothing to do, right, with the body of the question. Look at the body of the question here. This question 4. Quite lengthy, quite lengthy. You see? Just scrolling through so that you see. So if you don't, you see, rather than reading through all of these, you go and start your C and quickly get the easy mark that we can see here as 6 marks. So this is how to save, get question and all of that in the exam. Question B here say discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using incremental budgeting. This has nothing to do with that lengthy body of the question. So if you answer this first before even reading the body of the question, you would have gotten this. But remember, we have already done the referencing. Why that lengthy this thing is taking just 6 marks. Remember, you could answer 4 here, 6 mark here, 4 mark here, and this is 20 mark, which means 14 marks may not have anything to do with the body of the question. And if you answer B, C, and D, you could pass this particular question, even if you don't touch A. But remember, if you don't touch A, remember to reference them properly. Remember to reference them properly, like I did here. See, this is 4A. Forget what I wrote here. This is 4A. This is 4A, continue. This is 4B. This is 4B, continue. This is 4C. This is 4C, continue. This is 4D. And this is 4D, continue. So you can go and answer them even by the subtitle, right? So the other point I want to leave out is that don't leave any blank space. For instance, if I say continue next page. If you have a space that you have left like this, just put continue next page there. Don't leave blank spaces in between. The examiner might think he or she has come to the end of your answer. They may not know that there's a continuation there. So if you have a continuation in between, strike it out or put continue next page, and then you come to the next page. And if it is number 2 you want to do, you come there and do number 2 there. All right, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll stop. That's what I want to put there. Then let me come back and stop sharing and then share some few more tips before I finally go for today. All right, so we've already dealt with how to use your 15 marks there. We've dealt with how to, the 15 minutes that you are given in the exam. So we've already dealt with that. We've also dealt with how to allocate your time. Remember, it's 1.8 minutes for every mark. So a 10 mark question, you should not spend more than 18 minutes. So a 20 mark question, you should not spend more than how many? 36 minutes. So a 40 mark question, like the session A that is a 40 mark, you should not spend more than 72 minutes, which is 1 hour, 12 minutes. All right. And like I said, you don't have to start chronologically. Then go for the easy mark first. And I've already explained that you don't have to start from 4A. You can leave spaces and go and do 4D first. Go eat up all the easy marks that you can find before you now start and come and start. If I'm the one, I will do calculation last. So if I'm doing question 4 and 4A as calculation, I will leave that and go and do 4B, 4C, and 4D. Unless 4B, the answer I need is rely on 4A. Unless 4B rely on 4A, that's the only time you must do calculation first. That's what I will do. Because why? Calculation might take time, and sometimes you do your calculation, it's not, the balance sheet is not balanced. If it doesn't balance, don't bother. Go and give your recommendation based on your calculation, because the examiner knows that you are under the exam heat, right? And therefore they know that they will sometimes mark you based on your recommendation. If there are some answers that it is neither correct, it is neither yes or no, like in case study in professional level. There's no right answer to it. Even ICAN does not provide attempted solution to that. They don't provide attempted solution to that in the Pathfinder. All right. So then remember, you need only 50 marks to pass the exam. You don't need 100 marks. But remember that between pass and fail, it's only 1 mark that distinguishes them. So if you score 49, the examiner will go back and try to look for where they will find additional mark for you. If they find, then they will help you cross over. But if they don't find, that's why you need to go for easy mark. If they don't find, unfortunately, they will have to leave you alone. Okay, I think I've addressed all of that. If you have any question for us, please leave it in the answer sheet. We are rounding up in the next 3 minutes. Okay, leave it in the comment section. And then let me have your reaction also. So I'm going to still share my screen one more time to now tell you about materials, because that's another thing that comes up in the exam. Students use materials, and sometimes they use materials that are, well, I would say you shouldn't use, I would say you should not use ICAN pack, but I will not advise that you should start with it. Because why? It is very, very voluminous. ICAN pack is very, very voluminous. We have already addressed all of this. So ICAN pack is very, very voluminous. We have also looked at this. And of course, that's why we came up with the video lecture. So for those of you who have not bought our video lecture, I will recommend it. Every diet, loads and loads of success that we record. Loads and loads of success. All of this we have incorporated in the video lecture. So the video lecture comes in 3 parts. It has a lecture that covers the entire syllabus, right? Why we cannot say that it covers the entire syllabus 100%? We can't say that. But we keep adding to it. We keep improving it every day. We keep, if there are any contemporary issues, we add to it, right? But at least we can say it covers 95% of the syllabus. And like I said earlier on, you don't need 100% to pass this exam. If you cover 95% of the syllabus, you're going to pass. If you can cover 100%, good. Now, so we have the video lecture for the lectures, right? Then we now have past question and answers from 2014 till date. That should be how many diet? More than 12 diets, if I'm not mistaken, or 14 diets. So we pick the past question and we start solving them and we start explaining them. You understand that? We start explaining them so that if you pick the Pathfinder, some area that are mysterious to you, if you go through our video lecture, we demystify them for you. At the end of every diet, we'll pick the question, solve them. Remember, they are our attempted question, and then, but at least we cross-check them to be sure that the answers are right. So that's the another part. Then we now have another part in the video lecture, which is the ICAN pack question. We pick the ICAN pack, extracted all the question in the ICAN pack, and we put it there because sometimes I can lift question from the ICAN pack. We cannot shy away from that. But remember that the ICAN pack does not have solution to the question they provide. So these are all the things that come with the video lectures. So the phone number is on the screen. If you have not gotten yours, go ahead and get it. So if you are going for physical classes, get the video lecture as a supplement. If you're a very busy person, you can't go for physical classes, you can't do any, get the video lecture, right? And how should you use a video lecture? We encourage you to go through the video lecture at least 2 times before the exam. So how do we ensure you do that? We give you the blueprint. We divided all the video lecture into, for instance, 30 days. And we say you can cover the entire syllabus within 30 days. And we tell you what topic you should go through in day 1, day 2, day 3, day 15, day 29, and day 30. And those 30 days, we pick the ICAN and the video lecture, we pick the question and answer, more than 12 or 13, 14 diet. And then we pick the ICAN study pack question. We pick all of them, break them all into 30 days, and then you cover that. If you don't have much time for the exam, I will advise you, don't bother registering for 4 papers. It's very devastating when you want to do 4 papers and you don't have time to sit for the exam and you go and you fail off. It's slow and steady wins the race. If it's only 1 paper you have time for, get the video lecture, go through it 2 or 3 times. When you have gone through the video lecture at least 2 times, then you can add ICAN pack, add workouts this, or any other textbook you have. Any other textbook you have, they are all good. You can then add them. Remember, we're talking of time. We have talked of time in the exam. We're also talking of time management before the exam with your preparation. Some of our students will say, in fact, my job does not give me time. And we say, yes, you need the job. You need the job to provide for yourself, for your family, to take care of the exam. We need the job. And that's why we came up with this better option of having the video lecture. Not only that, you also have the free Telegram class. We have our lecturers there. Our lecturers, you see, every day we pay our lecturers to provide this support. Yet we provide it free. So make sure you share this link with your friends. You don't even have to buy our video lecture to belong to our Telegram classes. It's free. And it's going to be free forever. That's our contribution. There are students that say there are students after the exam, they come to the Telegram class and say, I didn't buy your video lecture, but I used the resources you provided in the Telegram classes, and I follow it and I pass. Well, that's our contribution for those who don't have the money to buy the video lecture, right? So it's free. So if you are not a member of that Telegram class, you are missing a lot. There, the lecturer provide lecture, answer question, give assignment, yes, and also the solutions are provided. So if you get the video lecture, you will have access to the solution, which is a member area. So the phone number on the screen, call, text, WhatsApp. If you call and we are not picking, maybe we are closed for the day when you are calling, we will definitely return your call. WhatsApp, we will definitely return your WhatsApp. Send a text message, we will definitely get back to you. So this is all I want to say regarding this. Make sure you get the video lecture, and because if you use video to study, you will save time. Lastly, some students tells us that when they enter the exam or when they see a question that they have gone through in the video lecture, sometimes they hear the lecturer reading the solution to them, and somebody will say, "No, be juju be that." No, it's not juju. And when they tell us this, we are amused, but we will let out the secret. You see, when you listen to music over and over and over, even bad music you don't like, horror music, bad music, immoral music, after some time, when you are sitting down at your steady time, the music will start playing back in your mind. If you have ever experienced that, leave that in the chat session for me. Have you ever listened to a music that you don't like, or even the one you like, over and over, and after some time the thing is playing back in your mind, and you are just it's just giving you a joyful melody? Have you had that kind of experience before? I want to see your answer in the chat box. Let me go back. Let me stop sharing. Let me stop sharing. If you have picked the question there, yeah, leave your comments in the chat box. Have you ever had that experience? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Comfort said yes. Azuka said yes. Mohammed said yes. Ezekiel said very well. That is the concept of you going through the video lecture at least 2 times. Somolola said yes. When you go through it twice, whether you are very busy in the hold up, there's traffic between your place of work, whatever you are doing, make sure you get the video lecture. And if you can't go through the computational courses, even the computational courses, put the earpiece on while you are traveling. Go through it in the airplane. Go through it in your hotel room. Anywhere you are, at least 2 times. Once you have done that, then you can add every other material. When you enter the exam hall, you start hearing the answer coming back again, right? This is educational psychology. It's educational psychology. Thank you, Oye Usi. She said absolutely correct, sir. Thank you very much. Aniete say yes. Yeah, I can see a lot here. I'll come back and read your comment. So just take this in. And why are we doing this? When I was doing this exam, like I told us, I qualified 1997. That's 25 years ago, at least more than 20 years ago. This thing that the examiner, our lecturer told us is what I brought back to you. I will now leave you with this secret also. Remember the question say, answer 4 out of 6, right? Session 1, attempt it. Now, assuming you get to the exam hall and they now tell you 5 minutes to go, and out of 4, you have only answered 3. You have not even touched 1 at all. You must still attempt it. How should you attempt it? Once you have seen the way I've itemized those things. You can still do the rewatch of this video to see them. The way I mark those my answer script. Go there and write the question of session 1. You might not finish writing it. It means you have attempted it. It means you have attempted it. And leave it like that. If that's all you can do. I'll give you the story behind that. Please don't quote me. This is not to indict ICAN. I will call it rumor. It was a rumor I had, but a lecturer told me this while I was doing my PE1 more than 20 years ago. I think I did my PEY in 1996, if I remember vividly. Yes, May Diet, yes, May Diet, 1996. All right. Now, the point I'm bringing out of this is that he said sometimes the marking scheme might be wrong. Why? Because it's human being that did them. I've just shared with us a disclaimer here where I can say, don't quote us. This solution here is even though is our name, right? We will not entertain any correspondence regarding it. We don't take any responsibility for it. So answer scheme might be wrong. That's what the lecturer told us. So then he said there was his friend that was a marker. When he finished marking his own set of script, he now decided to join others. When he joined others, he now reworked the solution and came up and compared it to the marking scheme and found out that they were not the same. So he called the attention of others and they found out that the marking scheme was wrong. And like I said, this is a rumor. Nobody can sue ICAN or take me up on this. It's a rumor. So with no malicious intent. I'm just telling you what is behind the scene, right? Anything human being is involved cannot be human 100% perfect. That's what I'm bringing out here so that you can be aware. So the lecturer went on to say that when they now found out that the marking scheme was wrong, they have already marked 2,000 scripts. And remember, ICAN will release their results at a given time. The council will meet. The council member may be anywhere in the world. They will all travel down to meet. So the calendar is fixed. They will meet to approve the result. So when they saw that, they said, okay, out of these 2,000 scripts you have marked, we can't go back and be remarking it. Everybody who attempted this 2,000, this particular question, give them full mark. everybody who attempted it. So the person who didn't attempt it will not score anything. So now if my memory does not fail me, from the next paper going forward, right? They started marking me with the right script, with the right answer. Or they gave everybody who attempted it full mark. It's one of those two, if my memory does not fail me. Remember, this is more than 20 years ago. All right. So if you have enjoyed this session, let's have your comments in the comment section. Yeah, and you can please share your screen again, Michael, and go to where our number is showing for the benefit of our viewers here. So if you have enjoyed this session, let me get your feedback. Let me get your question. So let me come back here. Faith say, regarding not leaving blank spaces, sir, at times one may leave a full page hoping to answer a question on it before the end of the exam and couldn't probably for time's sake. Yes. Can the blank page be cancelled? That is striking it out. Yes. If you leave blank space, right? When you are done, you can strike it out. You can just strike it out. I say continue next page. Continue next page. You just write next page there. All right. So happening currently, Babatunde was responding to what I put on earlier on. So let me get your feedback, your reaction. We have come to the end of this presentation. So I want to thank everyone here. Ezekiel said thank you and God bless you, especially for answering questions. Okay, thank you very much. Adesanya is absolutely correct, sir. Thank you very much. Oyewusi says, sir, do you have video lecture for all skill level? Yes, we do. You'll contact the number on the screen to get that. Michael, are you still there? Can you share your screen, the presentation slide, so that they can see that? Abdul Hamid said, I really enjoyed and learned a lot. Thank you very much for that. Ezekiel said, thank you and God bless you, especially. All right, I've answered that. Adesonya said, God bless you, sir. All right, it's like Michael is not there. So if you want to get the video lecture, yeah, this is the number on the screen. Yeah. So make sure you contact that number. So let me still get your feedback. Yeah, Oluwa Shegun, thank you. Oluwa Shegun says, thank you so much, sir. Esther said, thank you for sharing these words of knowledge. I've learned a lot. Thank you, Esther. Faith say, very educative lecture. Thanks a million. Thank you, Faith. Olasi. Oh, I'm not with my glasses. Yeah, Olashile say, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. May God continue to bless you. Thank you very much for that. So keep leaving your comments. Sir, can I download it on my laptop? Yes, you can download it to your laptop or to your Android device. Your laptop you can use must be Windows device or Android device. And if you want to get on both devices, you can also get it. Contact the number on the screen and we will give you all the requirements, everything you need to do to get it. You can download it. You can even get it today. Yes, you can get it today if you contact those numbers. You can get it right today. All right. Abdulquazi Kwadik. It's a nice one, sir. Thank you for that too. All right. So on this note, we'll come to the end of the presentation. Thank you for your time. I want to wish you success in the exam. Remember to share this with your friend. This is free. Even if you don't buy a video lecture, the tips we have shared here will help somebody pass. And we want as many students to pass this exam as possible. Some of the tips we have shared here are what we have gotten from the examiner, gotten from those who mark, gotten from lecturers with years of experience and so on and so forth. Thank you, everyone, and God bless you. So I'll leave the screen. I'll still leave the number on the screen so that you can go ahead and just go ahead and contact those numbers. All right. Mohammed say, please, can you inbox us the lecture slide? Yes, definitely. We'll send you the lecture slide. We'll send you the link to download them. Once you have registered on this, we'll either send you an email, or if you are not on a Telegram class, please chat with these numbers that I want to join the Telegram classes. It's free. Then we will send it there as well. So send it to as many ICAN students as you know. Somebody is going to pass. Some people, yes, my lecturer used to say, not ICAN is not the brilliant student that necessarily pass, which is true. I remember also many students will say the people I'm teaching that are more brilliant than they are passing the exam. And me, I've done it 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. There was one particular student that said he had done the exam, the particular, I think, PM 8 times. So we gave him this prescription. We say first, put aside all the study pack, put aside all the notes, all the study text you have. Go through the lecture, video lecture at least 2 times before the exam. When you have more time, then add other things. We are not saying lecture is bad. No, lecture is very good. After all, before technology came, it was only lectures. So lecture is still very good. But if you don't have time, right? You don't have time for the exam. There are people that 10 years they are still doing the exam. When they come and meet us, we say, what happened? They say, I didn't have time. Do one paper. You can't say you don't have time. That's why we give you the blueprint. You don't need more than just 1 hour a day. Now, let me give you this gist. If you can carve in 2 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning before you leave for office, 1 hour in the evening when you are leaving the office, or when you come back home. When you come back home, you'll be tired. What about your break time? When I was preparing for this exam, my break time, I will go into the toilet, lock the restroom, and be reading there. So every little time you have, use it. Then stop the time for one day, naming ceremony. If you are working in the church, stop for now. If you are imam in the mashalashi, in the mosque, ask for sabbatical for now. You see, you'll be more valuable and more useful to God when you qualify than when you are not passing. Your failure does not inspire anybody. It is success that inspires people. So we want you to be successful. So I think Ezekiel say amen, amen. Please expect my testimony. Ezekiel, I'm expecting your testimony. Oh, you will see. Thanks for your clap. I just saw here, please, sir. I need a MIS Foundation video lecture, especially IT aspect that carries 40 marks. Yes, contact the number on the screen, and then I will send you, and then you can get it right now. If you don't have data, we can send it to you by courier, right? And our team, they're on ground. If by the time you are watching this and you are calling, nobody picks, please, we'll get back to you. If you are calling during the weekend and we are closed, maybe on Sunday, then we'll get back to you during working hour next day. Ezekiel said, thank you. All right. So on that note, I want to bring the class to a close, and I want to wish you success in your exam. So the video lecture, I've already explained how we solve the question, the steps we take, and explain all the lectures. Thank you very much, and God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for your time. And bye, everyone.